All right. In this video, we're going to get into some nice curves, a little more organic features than the boring old cubes and rectangles and cylinders we've been dealing with. So it's pretty cool. And so just get yourself in a new document. I'm just going to call it Sweep, because that is the name of the tool we'll be using today, is Sweep. And what that's going to look like, what you're going to do is we're actually going to start out in our top plane, sketching in that. Instead of sketching in our front plane like we've been doing, go ahead and select your top plane. Get yourself looking at that, and you're going to start a sketch. It's in your top plane. Select a circle, click on the origin so that the center of the circle is in the origin, and go ahead and dimension this circle out. So I'm going to hit D on my keyboard, turn dimension on, make sure I select that outer ring of that circle. And I'm going to go ahead and make this a pretty small circle. Talk about why later. But let's go with 0.125, which would be 1/8 of an inch. Fraction form. And so now I've got this circle. It is fully defined. It's black. I can't move it because it's got to be on the origin. I can't change the size because it's got to be 0.125 unless I go in and change that. I'm going to go ahead and hit check. But before I do, let's call this circle. All right, and then what I want to do is go into the front plane and do another sketch. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to rotate my dice around, I'm going to click the word front. All right, and I'm going to zoom in. See this line right here? Okay, if you hold your mouse over circle, that line will be highlighted. That's because where those planes intersect, you drew a circle in the top plane. Now what I want to do in the front plane is sketch a path, like a nice curved pathway up here. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to tell that circle to follow that path. So go ahead and go to sketch. It's going to ask you which plane you want to sketch in. All right, we want to be in the front plane. And once we have that, we want to start at the origin. The reason we put the circle right in the middle. And I'm going to select this tool up here that's called the Spline tool. Now I just want to see if it gives you any useful information here. No shortcuts popping up, but select the start point, select additional points for the spline to fit to, double click to end the spline, and then you can modify the spline. And so I'll walk you through that kind of little helpful tip thing there, but you've got to start at the origin. Make sure it's turned on. Start at the origin. And let's make some pretty big gradual arcs. We don't want to get anything too tight, too sharp. Because it'll probably red flag us pretty much if you envision that you're bending a pipe, okay, and you try and draw it so that that pipe just can't be bent. Onshape's not going to like that. So let's get some nice slow curves, we call them, gradual slow curves. And we'll get it so that we've got this kind of two-humped deal. And then to exit out of that spline, just like every other tool, the line command, the dimension command, it's turned on. So you've got to turn it off. You can either double click like it said in that little tool, or you can just hit the escape button. Okay, and now we have that spline drawing taken care of. And I'm going to go ahead and entitle it Curved Pathway, because that's what it looks like. It is a pathway, it is curved. And I'll show you what I mean by pathway. That we're using that term intentionally. Now that we've got both of our sketches done, our circle and our curved pathway, okay, and I can see them because my eye is on. If you for some reason you can't see it, it's because your eyes are turned off. Okay, I usually keep them on unless that sketch is just getting in my way of what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm going to look at it from an angle here. And I'm going to select this thing that looks like a pipe up here next to our revolve command. That's our sweep. And it's asking me, hey, what do you want to sweep? So this blue rectangle, again, we need to fill that with some input. And I'm going to tell it, I want to sweep circle. Okay, so it knows I want to sweep circle. Now here again is why we use the term path. The circle, in the same way we did the revolve, and when we did that piece of flour that the baker was working with, knew to just orbit itself around an axis once we gave it that. This, I guess, piece of flour is doing the same thing. It just needs to follow that pathway. The revolve is just a perfect circular pathway for that disk. We've created this kind of curvy pathway, and it will follow it. We got to make that red rectangle a blue rectangle, and then select that pathway. Okay, and what you'll see is it kind of looks like an exhaust system or something. It should give you that preview, and you should be good to go. Now, if it doesn't give you a preview or it shows it kind of bent into itself, that's because you got these curves too tight. So you're going to want to go back. There's two ways you can correct that. One, you can go back and edit your circle. To do that, double click circle, go in, double click dimension, and let's just make this 0.0625 and press enter. Okay, it makes that circle smaller, and then press check. And notice that my exhaust just got a lot smaller. The other way you could do that if you ran into an interference situation is you could edit your pathway. So you go into your pathway, double click it, and by dragging these dots around, you can change that. All right. So my main thing when I come over to check you off for this task is that everything is functional. These two things are titled the way they need to be titled, and there's no interference. Your sketches are defined except for this one here, and we'll get into that later. Sweet, 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 sweet.